Welcome to the Everybody Hurts podcast, the podcast where we will explore mental health and mental well-being, including physical fitness, resilience, confidence and weight concerns, which will help you live a healthier lifestyle. I am your host, Stephen Bell, and I am the CEO of Vitality. I'm a performance coach, therapist, counsellor and mental health advocate, and I have spent the last 25 years in the British Army and the police improving my performance, confidence and well-being so that I can improve other people's lives just like you. Each one of our guests is inspired to help others so that you can feel more confident and see life as a challenge and not a battle. I am sure you will enjoy each and every one of our guests. Today's guest is Sam Murray and Miranda Bailey. Sam Murray, a former Royal Marine, has battled the black dog of depression, but has recently found his love of breath initially through the Wim Hof Method. He immediately recognised the healing power of conscious breathwork and cold water immersion. In 2020, Sam met Miranda Bailey, nutritional therapist and breathwork practitioner. Miranda has a shared interest in how conscious breathing can be used to support mental health and ease chronic health conditions. Sam and Miranda set up the Breath Connection out of a desire to help individuals gather greater resilience and counter their ever-increasing levels of stress. Not just for the emergency services and armed forces. They want to get the wider message out that it can be used in the general community. But we do have one of the Breath Connection participants here today, Helen Barnett, who you probably remember is a retired police officer who was stabbed, shot and caught up in 2-hour explosion, and she used as a Breath Connection to help in her recovery journey that she's still on at the moment. So we will bring Helen in as and when we can. So welcome, Sam, and obviously Miranda. Really good to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, fantastic.
And obviously welcome back, Helen.
Hi, thank you for having me again.
Obviously we've got Rob and Karen Hills here as well, and I'm Stephen Bell, as you all probably all know. So I'm going to start off really with, this could be a question to both of you if you want to answer, but it's probably mainly to Sam at the moment. But I know Rob has a keen interest in breathwork, and he's been looking into it as well, and obviously Helen has as well. But I just want to know, initially for you, Sam, what led you to that time in your life where you felt breathwork was for you?
Oh, yeah. So just briefly going from the beginning up, really briefly, I was in the Royal Marines, and then I left the Royal Marines, did all that bodyguard circuit and did a high octane jobs that we all do, surveillance, and then started to drink, self-medicate, and then I had a breakdown, a couple of suicide attempts, and then hospitalized and thought, I can't crack on like this. I can't keep self-medicating, or I can't keep taking drugs as I was to try and suppress it all. So after my brother drowned, funnily enough, doing breathing exercises, he was a cave diver, something triggered in my brain, and I just thought I need to stop this, and I thought I needed a way out of holistically, rather than, because pharmaceuticals for me personally didn't work, antidepressants, they made me worse. So I found Wim Hof via a support group, military support group, where I met Helen Barnett, which we'll talk about in a minute. But and from there, I found my love of breath through Wim and the cold water. As soon as I got in the cold water after the breath, my whole brain seemed to change, to open up. It was weird. It was like an awakening. And we mentioned Eckhart Tolle before. I just started to, everything changed, my whole way of thought. Whatever that is, why it was, I don't know. But I just went on a spiritual journey then, or a journey of discovery of Alan Watts, and looking into Buddhism and everything that goes with that. And then we started to use the Wim Hof Method with our beautiful friend over there, Helen. And through Helen's many traumas, more than most people, one incident is enough. We found that it was bringing on Helen's trauma. It was bringing on it, Helen could talk about that, but it was actually, Wim Hof was making her anxious, was making her worse. Right. So, and also a lot of other people reported that who had severe PTSD. So I thought, right, we need to try and find. I didn't know anything really about breath myself personally. I didn't know anything of that world. In fact, wearing beads today, I would have thought I would have crossed the road if I'd have saw someone looking like Emperor Ming walking across the road. You know, I would have gone, what is he doing? Is he hovering? What? He's weird. He's breathing now. Now that's even stranger. So, and he's getting cold water with his pants on. No, I'm off. Then I realised that because it had such a profound effect on me, I went on in search of some more people who knew more about it. And in a field, had a little get together, and I found this beautiful woman sitting next to me who is Miranda. And it's probably best if you come in now.
Yes, well, Miranda, yeah, just bring us in and let us know how you got involved.
Oh, sorry, is that okay? Is that okay?
Oh, you correct? No, it's as we said earlier. This is for you. Tell us about it.
So, so I'm a nutritional therapist, and always, I guess I've always had an interest in stress. Being a stressed child and a stressed adult myself, I've been on my own healing journey. But when I qualified as a therapist, so what I do is people present to me with chronic health problems, and I look at the food they eat, what's in there that shouldn't be, what's not in there that should be, according to their health condition. But quite quickly realised that most people who sat down in front of me with chronic health problems had or presently has a significant level of stress in their life. And while there is a few bits and bats that you can do with food and stress, food in and of itself wasn't going to ever kind of address that as a driver. So I had done Vipassana meditation for many years, and that obviously has a breath element to it. And I had a few friends who were qualified breathwork practitioners, so I'd done events with them, and then that took me down this a series of events collided, so that space opened up in my life, and I was able to go and train as a breathwork practitioner in a particular technique. And then since qualifying, I've kind of explored other techniques, or the conscious breathwork techniques, and been able to use those. So Sam and I, when we met, you know, this love of the breath over the months that then followed, we sort of looked at the bits that we loved about Wim Hof, because that was a real shared love of his technique. But then we overlaid other aspects of breathing techniques that I feel are really valuable in terms of turning down the stress response.
Right. So
and that's when we came up with the breath connection, and went from there.
Yeah, and it was a massive, profound journey, you know, from being this hard drinking, drug taking party animal who sort of just completely lost his way, to then, you know, looking at Buddhism and all sorts of bizarre things. I can't imagine now going back to that world. I'm still me. I still, you know, I still have the odd drink now and again, but completely changed. But it was Helen had a big impact on all this. Because the breath work that we do now, it's more meditational, and we mentioned the autonomic nervous system briefly there, with the trying to get people into the rest and digest part really more so, and Helen had a big impact on that. So the breath work that we do with Miranda's input is really about guiding people through. I mean, this is the brains behind the operation.
Right.
I'm just the beauty. I'm just the muscle.
Yeah, the looks clearly, yeah.
I'm the muscle with no muscle. There you go. But Miranda will explain more. I mean, I do know, but the detail of, you know, how it works, and also Helen would be able to probably come in if she wants to, about what the difference was from.
I was wondering, for you, Helen, then what was it that you found so different from Wim Hof to the breath connection?
Yeah, so I met Sam, and I didn't really know him, and I jumped in a very cold river with him, did the Wim Hof before, and it was one of those things that I was following him and other people, and my son was doing it, and that I wanted to really embrace and enjoy and take part in, because I could see, as Sam and Miranda have said, the benefits, but I just couldn't get on with it, for want of a better word. And like Sam said earlier, you know, it brought up all sorts of the actual fast sort of gasping for breath, just made me feel really, really anxious. And I just genuinely thought, well, this isn't for me, but, you know, I admired what everybody was doing. And I got to know Miranda, and Miranda suggested just nasal breathing. And so we stuck with that, didn't we, for a while, really, Miranda, just literally changing the way I breathe. You know, Miranda will be able to explain more, but breathing through my nose, and it just, you know, over the weeks and months, and I've really religiously stuck at it. It has taken away my anxiety, and I use it, you know, sleeps better. And again, Miranda can, you know, explain all that. So that was a step. And obviously then Miranda and Sam adapted their breathing technique that was slower, more meditational, relaxing. And I joined on a 10-day breathwork program, and it's just incredible. Had a, you know, profound effect on how I feel. And just
I'm curious from Sam and Miranda's point of view, and for Helen, is the fact that she couldn't get on with the Wim Hof something related back to the traumas she experienced and how she would have breathed in that point?
So the activated breathing that we do, or that Wim Hof does, it's very fast. It's open mouth breathing, and it's very, very fast, and it's sort of teetering in that realm of hyperventilation. And it brings on the stress response.
Correct.
So and his technique, don't get me wrong, I like it and I respect it, but it's not very embodied. So there's a lot of, when you breathe, you're counting the number of breaths you're doing, and there is an encouragement to go quite fast. And we knew that for some people is actually going to incite a sense of panic, a sense of fear. And yes, absolutely, it triggers the stress response. I mean, obviously I can't comment on whether or not that would, but when we are in a situation of extreme stress, then yes, we breathe much faster in order to be able to kind of oxygenate the tissues.
We saw a massive, you know, on myself and all the other people who used it, we saw a massive difference in and also we've added quite a bit on, because you're training in potato breathing, which is functional breathing, but it's all nasal breathing, because we're not built to breathe through our mouths, and we've got a mouth there, and it's really easy and to breathe through it, but it's really for just eating and nasal breathing. Again, well, I'm going to put this on Miranda again, because she's you know, I'm an ex-bootneck, I can't, you know, can contain too many facts and figures in there. But you build up, when you breathe through your nose, you get a build up of nitric oxide that pools, and that does so many different things to your body, you know, and so we mouth tape at night, which sounds quite a bit wrong, but but it's quite handy if you don't like someone speaking all night. But we put a bit of surgical tape, just a little bit there, and it just ensures that when you sleep, you get 6, 7, 8 hours of just nasal breathing. It is absolute game changer. It really is. So I'll let you. Sorry, Miranda, you go.
So I guess the whole point of suggesting to Helen that she nasal breathed is when we're born nasal breathing. It's kind of that's baby's natural tendencies. And then as we go through life and experience levels of stress or incidents of stress, for some of us, that will then produce an over-breathing, and then that sort of cycle perpetuates. So you end up, I think that James Nestor has got a book out called called Breath, that's, you know, all the rage at the moment. And I think he cites that 30 to 50% of us have developed a chronic over breathing through the mouth. So we breathe up in our chest, we breathe too fast, and actually there's no real proper registering of the carbon dioxide oxygen levels that kind of reach the tissues. So that then becomes, it pins us into the stress response, you know, just day to day. So the whole point of developing a nasal breathing, when we breathe through the nose, you can try it now. There's a resistance there. It automatically slows down the breathing cycle. And if we breathe slower and deeper into the diaphragm, that will have an impact on the nervous system that will bring it down. And so, and obviously Helen is an athlete. So if you do this if you do this day to day, that's a really powerful thing. Then, as Sam said, if you also try and incorporate that at night, that figure, that 30 to 50% figure, goes up to 70% of us at night breathe through our mouth. So if you can get into mouth taping, and then you've got 7-8 hours at night where you're also coming into the parasympathetic, the rest and digest, you're calming down, then that's super, super powerful. Then if you incorporate nasal breathing into exercise, so you kind of meet yourself where, so if you're exercising and you need to breathe through your mouth, you're probably exercising too hard.
Right.
So you what you do is incrementally, and Helen's an exerciser, so she was able to not only mouth breathe, then also mouth breathe at night, and then introduce it into her exercise. That develops a really strong sense of functional breathing, and as Helen is testament to, it brought her, she said that, I don't really feel anxiety anymore.
I've tried freaking her out. I just can't. You ring her up going, Helen, look behind you. Look behind you, Helen. Quick.
I'm just wondering as well, because Karen, you obviously know quite a lot about yoga. We were talking about breath earlier. Can you see a massive correlation here as well?
Yeah, and I think what is so brilliant to me about this whole thing is that I love it when people don't give up. Like you say, the Wim Hof has really taken off, and I completely agree. It's fantastic. I love to see people embracing holistic solutions to things. I think it's wonderful. But it is quite abrasive is possibly the wrong word, but it's a very full-on technique.
Intense.
Intense. Yeah, thank you. It's a very intense technique, and I know for myself, I didn't get along with the Wim Hof breathing. I don't have a lovely barrel to immerse myself in, but I do the cold shower side of things. But yeah, I tried the breathing a couple of times. I didn't get along with it. So I reverted back to practicing my breathing as part of doing the yoga that I do, because that works for me. And very similarly, as you say, it focuses on the nasal when you're doing it properly. Obviously, there's moments that you release through the mouth, but mostly it's about nasal breathing, which really helps. But I think it's great that with what you've done in developing something that's a further solution, to complement that. So whilst the Wim Hof method might be really well known, and like you say, yeah, James Nestor's out there talking about this stuff, and it's wonderful, but that there's other answers. There's other ways of achieving a similar end for people, and it's not just a dead end. I think so many people try things like breathing techniques or meditation, and they can't quiet their mind, and like, I'm no good at it. It must be me. And it isn't. There's always, a tweak and an adaptation, and just not to give up. There's always a way.
Absolutely, I think, and that is, it's not to just try it. And it might be one certain thing might not be for you, but it's worth at least trying it, and then going back to it. If it didn't work, going back to it and try it again. But because we know this, the science is now coming to all these things, and people don't think it's just some weird monk sitting in a cave. People actually are going, and it's because of Wim, to be fair. He's had universities involved, and he's had scientists involved. So now people are waking up and going, actually, this breathing business, it does physically does something to your body. I mean, we know that now. The benefits mentally and physical are just unbelievable. For the cold water as well, they've been using that for hundreds of years. The Victorians used that as a therapy, because it absolutely works. Cold water is, for me, I've been getting in it most days for the past 2 years nearly now, and when I don't get in it for a couple of days, whether it's a lake or whether it's the barrel or whether it's something, you see my mood will change. The breathing helps, the meditation absolutely helps. All three together, they're just a game changer. And it's breath work, and that's the thing. People, if you're feeling down, you don't want to do any work. So you really do have to get our dynamic breathing in the morning. It's something you have to commit to. But if you want to feel better, you have to really take that first step. But it is breath work, and it's, if you can't be bothered, it's sometimes that you need someone just to push you out and give it a try. But I'd suggest to anyone just to try some of these things, or just one of them might just fit, and it's just a little tool to go in your your emergency toolbox and it's 20 minutes every day, or half an hour with a cold shower, a bit of meditation. They say, if you're too busy to meditate for 20 minutes, meditate for an hour. That's what, because it's your mental health. That's the saying, isn't it? And it's true. It's absolutely, mental health is the most, and mental health, and that goes with diet as well. So since I've been with Miranda, and my diet has completely changed, and it's easy when you're feeling low, and I've done it. My daughter's here at the moment, and she's eating, the odd snack and stuff, and I can definitely feel, you can feel it has an impact on your energy. And so diet, all these things, dead simple. Drink more water, start to get some try these little processes, and start to eat a bit, cut that sugar out and all the rest of it. It's simple things, and all free,
And exactly, as we were sorry, Stephen, I was just going to say, as we were sort of saying earlier at the beginning, it's about creating new habits. These things are a bit of work to start with, but what I used to say to clients, we're programmed to think, oh, you're going on a diet or you're doing this. No, it's a change of life. I really relate to what you're saying, Sam, because I know if I met myself 20 years ago, I would do the same thing. I would have pointed and laughed, because I am so different to that person who was anaesthetising with various different habits, who was in quite a lot of pain, and I desperately wanted out of it. I never enjoyed being there, but I would never, if someone had said to me at this point in my life, I wouldn't have had a drink for 10 years, that I would be mostly plant-based in my diet, that I would be doing yoga, and I've always exercised, but that I would just be the person that I am. And but it's been an education, it's been a growth, it's been gradual, and all those lovely habits are there now that I don't miss that other stuff anymore. It's no big choice, it's no big sacrifice. This is who I want to be, because I feel great when I'm at my best with it. And no drink or drugs or sugar, and it might give you a false illusion of it for however 30 minutes or whatever, but this is for life. Why wouldn't you choose it?
No, absolutely not. The earth provides it all. It's there, isn't it? And that sounds a bit, whatever it sounds like, but it's true. It's true. Air and cold water, food that comes natural for, like you say, we're not plant-based, but I'm certainly cutting a lot of red meats out of my day. Just little things I'm just trying, and it's absolutely working.
I think Helen described the dynamic breathing that we do. Helen kind of described it. It's a bit like, having to put your trainers on in the morning and know that you have that slight sense of like, oh, okay, here we go.
I do.
but that once you're out there and you've done it and you're back, and that's what I also love about the cold water, because that every single morning, almost without fail, I get that sense of like, I don't want to do this, because it's a shock to the system. But once you've done it, and especially doing it in the morning, it's that sense of, oh my God, I feel invincible. I've done the thing that I really didn't want to do, and now I just feel, alive and energized. And I think it's that when you start to, as you say, you develop these strong loop habits, and then when you don't do them and you realize that you're a bit down, a bit kind of flat, you just need to get up the next morning and just crack on with it.
I have friends saying, "Oh, I feel a bit poo today. I'm going back to my old, and I'm going, okay. If you've exercised, have you breathed? Have you gone in the cold water?" And they go, "No, I've not done it for a while." I'm going, right. Well, that's why. No, it's not that. And it's because you can be. Once you do these things, you become present, you become in that moment, and there's no doubt that cold water, there's no thoughts anywhere. You just are you in the cold water. It's nothing more like meditation. It's nothing better than sitting in cold water and breathing through your nose and out through your nose. You are in that moment, and it releases all those neurotransmitters that we seek when I used to do lots of cocaine. That was my thing. I've told people about that. And I was after the quick fix so I could escape all my head. Yes. And guess what? I get that fix now. I literally get a fix. The same as I did with alcohol. I get it when I get in the cold water because
Dopamine.
It releases into my body. Serotonin rises, Sir Serotonin, as I call him. But it just, you feel amazing. We're like laughing and joking for the next, when we come back from a river or a lake.
Yeah,
we're high, naturally high. People get annoyed. My daughter's going, "Stop being so happy, Dad." You want something.
The thing is, I think to myself, are we ever going to be able to get this message to, I guess, younger people without sounding silly? I mean, because if someone had walked up to me at 2021 and said, "Stop what you're doing, come and jump in a cold river," this will give you the same buzz. What would we have all said to them?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do we have to go through that rite of passage to kind of get to the place that we're all at, maybe?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I look back at me in my 20s and 30s, and I don't regret anything. I certainly have no regrets, and the good and the bad has brought me right to this present moment, and I keep that in my head. There's no point in any regrets. But for my kids, they see me doing it, and my kids' friends see me doing it, and some of them are getting older in the 20s, and they're actually trying it. And I caught my son breathing a while. He'll be going mad now if he sees it. He's 21, and he was living with me last year, and I was breathing every day. And I heard some. I thought, well, he's 21. I thought, what's he doing? And I opened the room, and he's doing breathwork. And he saw me, and he went, "I'm not doing that stuff you do. It's weird." But he was. But it's just showing people, leading by example. They saw me drink. Okay, I drink. They saw me smoke. I smoke. Yeah. But now they see Dad doing this, so I just hope we can pass that,
And on that point, we run sessions every Saturday and Sunday morning, and we have, I think our youngest attendee is 13. So
16. No,
Holly. Is she 16?
16. Right, okay. Yeah. Right. But still.
So it's just introducing it and making it sort of feel that is normal. It's normalising it in. I mean, I know that we've got a long way to go in to spreading it out to the entire younger generation, but it's a start, isn't it? It's
because we've got Harry living with us, who's 8, my grandson. So he's, like you just said, he sees me doing these things, but we talk about it as well. Like I said to him in the classroom, breathe through your nose, Harry. If you're feeling stressed, breathe through your nose. Tell your friends. So these little things that I think that maybe we can just plant these little seeds in, and hopefully that'll become a habit that he actually breathes through his nose. It's just such a simple thing.
Didn't he tell the teacher, Helen? Didn't he tell someone at school?
Yeah, she's been on one of your workshops, Sam. Yeah.
So Harry, what did he say to the teacher? Harry said, "Breathe."
Yeah, I think Mrs. Pinckney, you must breathe through your nose. You'll stay calm. She's been on one of the workshops on a Sunday morning, and thought it was
brilliant.
Those workshops, been fantastic. For the Curtis Palmer, they've had 2 so far, haven't they? And the feedback from people that really were sceptical, these police officers, been incredible, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that was a big thing of mine when I met Helen, and I've got a lot of friends who are in the Marines who've gone on to the police, and that's a natural, like yourself, Rob, it's a natural progression from the forces to the police. So I started to work with a couple of Met lads, response lad, and he said, God, he's a sergeant in somewhere in eastern London, really rough gang area, and he said, my team were like, whoa, what's going on? When he's walking down the street, when he talks, he engages with the gangs now, the lads, and they're coming up to him, and they're speaking to him, going, hey man, and what you're doing, you change, the way he interacts with them, actually then makes an impact on the way they see the police. And something triggered in my mind, and I thought, right, I'm going to work with the police. And obviously I was working with Helen's, and then all of a sudden I'm working with the police, and I love it. We're doing course after course. We're doing another one next month with serving police officers. This is paid by a charity, not by the government or anyone. Yeah. Which is I think not right, but there you go. We have serving police officers on them, 13 at a time. Then they come on out. Some of them are in the cells doing the breathing, and then they go out, and then they get in a cold shower in the duty watch place, and then they go out on the streets reacting to situations differently. And that's, to me, that's beautiful. That I think that has an impact, and that's what my passion is. That's what we want. Yeah. We're going to keep working with the Curtis Palmer program because they do such good work. I absolutely can't sing enough, and Helen's an advocate, an ambassador for them as well, aren't you, Helen?
Yeah, and can I just say something you mentioned earlier, Stephen, about it struck home, but the trauma was sort of stuck in my core, in my breathing, and I didn't even know about it all these years later. And it's just been literally life-changing. I can, without having to talk about it or discuss it with anybody, even stuff I don't even understand and didn't know was in there.
Yeah.
Just layers of it have been lifting over the weeks. I think I've done it consecutively about 6 weeks now, and it's just lifting. And I can feel my body and my breathing's different. I'm moving differently. It's just phenomenal. You know, you think, 30 years on, it's such a powerful tool to have in your tool box. And I really, it's really surprised me how it's changed in such a short period of time, really.
I think it's like that Karen said as well. If we'd have known all this X amount of years ago, so if you'd have known it 30 years ago, how much better would it have been? So it's amazing. I'm just wondering then, so medically, what sort of work are you doing with a medical professional? Is there any sort of links that you've got at the moment? Are they recognising it at all?
And the NHS we do for free. We do, but
Right.
the workers, they come to us anyway. They just don't. We just invite them on, and that is it. Is an official thing. It's not official, but we are doing our first NHS workshop for the NHS in a couple of weeks' time, which is really, and they're going to have people from. It's the southwest, but they're going to have people from all over coming because they've recognised, because some have been on our workshops and they've said, wow, you've got to see it. So hopefully, we're going to, we'll get the word out there and people start seeing it as something that they can use there. So NHS officially doing a workshop for them in a couple of weeks. So that's exciting. Yeah, that'll be good.
So Helen, you were diagnosed with PTSD, weren't you? Obviously from the trauma that you went through while serving, right?
Yeah, way back 1995. Yeah.
So were you told that it was as a result of the body spending too much time in the sympathetic nervous system, and you're kind of on edge all the time, and it was sort of natural for your body to stay in the fight or flight mode for much longer than it would be in the parasympathetic nervous system, for example? And this is how, when you're talking about unsticking this trauma, is it actually doing something to the autonomic nervous system that we don't fully understand at the moment, right? Or at least I don't, not being medically qualified or coming from a medical background. I understand that, people who suffer post-traumatic stress disorder kind of fluctuate in between parasympathetic and sympathetic, and it's a really, really bumpy ride. And a lot of armed forces veterans, those still serving, and blue light services obviously spend a lot of time in the sympathetic nervous system. And maybe is this doing something to get us back to the happy medium that people who don't suffer PTSD are usually in a, for want of a better word, a normal state?
Yeah, I mean, Miranda could shed more light on the sort of science behind it, but yeah, I guess that's it. I think I was genuinely burnt out, we've all experienced, haven't we? No different to any of you, these layers of whatever it is just build up on top of each other, and I guess that our bodies get used to functioning like that, almost happy. I think my body was so used to it and happy functioning like that I didn't kind of want to let go of it. That wasn't a conscious thought, but my body was saying, I'm happy like this. I think that's maybe some of the resistance to it initially. So this gently with the nasal breathing and everything, it's been amazing. And I think actually when I was physically attacked, I think the air was literally knocked out of me as well. So it's all kind of connected. I think the memory of the actual, it must be quite complex, but all I know is that it's just had this absolutely incredible effect, and I'm reacting to things differently at home, where I might have, got cross or whatever, whatever it is. Just breathe, go back to the breath, as Miranda says, and religiously doing this work every morning and getting in the cold shower and you know, sometimes, like Miranda said, you think, oh gosh, it's going to be a bit of hard work, but you know the effect that it's going to have, that will last. And the other thing is, the only thing I had in my toolbox really was extreme exercise to get that kind of feel good sort of feeling. But so this is really a fantastic, nurturing, brilliant thing, you know, to have, rather than just extreme exercise all the time. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the key is, isn't it? I mean, it's whatever works for you. What you touched on, Sam, is the tools in the toolbox that you need. And if something doesn't work for you, like Wim Hof, you know, don't give up. And hopefully, you know, this message gets out there, and it will say you might have got somewhere with it, but it wasn't for you. There is something else you could try. Give this a go, and maybe you'll get results like Helen has. And it's amazing.
Yeah, massively. I mean,
just to touch on the point that you raised there about PTSD. I mean, obviously it's a hugely complex syndrome, and everybody is different. And I wouldn't ever attempt to kind of explain everything that's going on there. But my understanding is that, you know, we've got the stress response to be able to manage stressful situations. And it's adaptable, it's flexible by its nature. You know, we deal with something, it happens, and you know, if we have a functional stress response, we then kind of revert back to a quieter, calmer, you know, it's over and done with.
Yeah.
And I think where people have had a lot of stress on repeat, or big stress, big trauma, then we just kind of get stuck. And the whole polyvagal theory of PTSD is that we just get stuck at that top end of the stress response. We're in sympathetic dominance all the time. The vagus nerve obviously carries a lot of, you know, it reads all of that information about how safe we are, and part of that is social safety. But when we're really, really stressed, we kind of, all of those stress hormones are raging. We just don't have the ability to turn it down. And I think that breathwork and cold water, well, I know that breathwork and cold water are both really strong practices that enable you to, as we said before, when we do our dynamic breathing, we're actually putting a little bit of stress on the system. But the invitation then is to invite the kind of the parasympathetic to come up underneath it. So we're improving that tone, in physical tone. You know, the vagus nerve is a physical thing, and we're playing around with all sorts of things in the body. But what we're doing is we're putting a little bit of stress on the system to then encourage the strength of the flip side of that system to kick back in, which I think people with PTSD often, and my understanding of PTSD is people often get, it's very head, you know, you stress, you live up in your head a lot of the time. Being in your body is quite a frightening place to be. So both of these practices are very embodied practices that enable you to kind of start communicating. You know, the mind-body connection is, you can develop that relationship again over time. So yeah, not that I would try and kind of explain the whole thing, but I know that, so Bessel van der Kolk, who does the Body Knows the Score, you know, he kind of tried to understand what helped people with PTSD. And I think that breathwork, cold water, I know that they do. And he also established that yoga is a really, because it kind of gets you back into the safety of your body. And if you can start to feel that, then the whole stress response just comes down.
And I think, yeah, the big thing for me, or people that I know who say military or police backgrounds who've got PTSD, what they've said to me time and time again is, and myself, stuff releases. So we don't know what, I'm not going to go into what that is, because some of it can't be explained, but you release stuff on the breath that comes out, and the cold water, it comes out, and you don't have to talk about it. So you're actually getting rid of stuff, and I don't know what that is, but it certainly lifts you to a different place without having to talk through all these different traumas.
So my understanding is that every single experience that all of us have ever had has a breath connection to it. Right. You know, our breath is affected by the things that we do. And so our bodies end up being places often of stuck energy, of trapped energy. And what the very first, the technique that I was taught called conscious connected breath, which is a very different, well, it's not a very different practice, but it's open mouthed, almost verging on kind of hyperventilation for an hour. you know, we close, and it's done to music, and what I've seen in that practice is people, as Sam said, without any conscious thought, because we're dropping out of thoughts. But I've seen people in full-on body traumas, you know, in full-on body shakes. So they say, don't they, that, you know, a gazelle out in the wild chased by a lion, if it's not caught, having experienced the trauma of being chased, it kind of stands and it shakes it off and moves on, and that discharges the system somehow. Whereas I think as human beings, we don't do that. We kind of tense and we tighten. And that then, you know, shoves this stuff into our system. And so the breath work for me is that ability to be able to connect to those areas of stuck energy without the mind getting involved, and then to release it. And that's why we sort of tailored the breath work that we do, which is based on Wim Hof, but we tailored it to incorporate that so that people can kind of use the breath to start reconnecting with the body and the feel of the body, with this view of them being able to shift and release stuff. And as Helen said, in the last 6 weeks, you know, doing this practice every day, that has started to allow stuff to move out. You know, it's gone.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, to stop people crossing the road then, Sam, when they see you. How do you get this message out? Because you said when you mentioned you was in quite a dark place, and then you found this. So how would you get this out to young people? How do you get them to recognise now that they should experience it now?
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing. Hopefully, we're pushing that message out on social media. So Instagram's the one, I think, because kids, that's what they do. Even my kids now saying it's not that. So we're always one step behind, but we do a lot on social media. So we're as much as we can. I mean, and it's a double-edged sword, because social media to me is Facebook. No, it's if you're not feeling good, don't go on social media, or certainly not Facebook. It will bring you down. But what we do is try and make our place a positive place to go to. So we have a breathing club, sort of a group. But on my own social media, I plaster it with just positive stuff all day. So all quotes like Eckhart Tolle or Alan Watts, or just me jumping into a river, or us jumping into a river, and showing them and doing some breathing. And so that's what we do. We try and lead by example by getting out there and doing it. And we're doing stuff at the moment. We're going to start really promoting ourselves in the Manchester, but also getting out to the nations. There's stuff going on that's quite exciting, but we are really pushing it. So we're going to be really vocal about this is the new normal. This is normal to do, to try these different things, you know. And I talk really openly about, and my kids know, I talk about my suicide attempts and suicide. Yeah, I've had someone tell me something that I don't know. I talk about that, and I talk about my, you know, drug habit and my drink. Very difficult relationship with it. But I'm open, and they see the difference in me. So physically, people who know me see. They can't believe it. Everyone's waiting. They're all, I can know they are. All my Marine friends are going, he's no, he's no, what? He's not. And people who know me, they just, because I've had a really checkered past.
Yeah.
And they're now all starting to come around. My family even are going, bloody hell, yeah, okay, this is what I'm for. I've really found a purpose. And there's no going back now. As much as, even if I wanted to, there's no choice. I'm just keep driving it. So that's what we're going to do, is keep pushing it forward, aren't we?
I think making it really accessible and kind of making it fun. I mean, there's, you know, going and jumping in a river is quite an exciting thing to do. So we want to encourage people to obviously stay safe, but you know, to kind of engage with it and to see for themselves how they feel once they've done it. So we as I say, we do Zoom sessions at the moment, because that's what we're kind of restricted to. Yeah. But we do Saturday and Sunday sessions. We do courses, and hopefully, we'll just kind of broaden that out as lockdown restrictions lift, so that we can gather. I mean, the other beautiful thing I think about what we're doing on our weekend sessions is we're creating community, and I think everybody's really kind of hungry for connecting with others. And we just develop this really strong sense of like almost family. People arrive at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and I'm just so, we're all so happy to kind of see each other. So just doing that feeling, making people feel that they are connected and that we have a shared love of, you know, this thing that we have at our fingertips, and then the added kind of, you know, the fun thing of cold water, because I think that's really, it's quite appealing, you know, to most people.
Yeah,
lots of people.
It is. It is, and it's getting warmer now anyway, so everyone can join
Won't
in.
be as cold.
Yeah, it won't be as cold. It's not as cold.
Still be as cold. If you could turn back the clock, then I'm thinking, you know, and say something to yourself at a certain point in your life, and Sam, what would you have said to yourself back in, so I don't know, when you felt that you were in a really dark place? What could you have said to yourself at that point?
It's going to be okay.
Right.
It's going to be, stop living in the past. Stop living in the future, Sam. Live in the present, because everything will be okay. Be more present. That's what I would say. Absolutely.
Yeah. Rob or Karen, you got anything else you want to ask Sam or Miranda?
I'm sure I'll have a couple more questions. I know we're getting close to the end of the call, but I feel that there's, as I said to Helen previously, you know, there's a hell of a lot more to talk about, and we could go off on tangents all over the place with you guys that we've got on this afternoon, and love to save that for another time. But no, I can completely agree that, you know, this should get out there, and I think you got to give a shout out to the Curtis Palmer program for engaging with Miranda and Sam, and Helen has helped with that immensely, and anything that, you know, we can do to get more charities involved, just so they can experience what Helen has experienced in the leaps and bounds that she's come on in the, you know, the past 6 weeks. We're talking the present day, aren't we? This isn't old. This didn't work years ago. It's working right now for somebody who's experienced a huge amount of trauma in their past life and has lived with it as a dark cloud over her for years, and it's shifting. And, you know, I just can't believe you're sitting there. Well, I can believe it, because I know the type of person that I'm talking to. You can sit there and laugh about suicide and say, yeah, I was there, I've done it, I failed. Yeah, can't do that. And I know people who are depressed and suicidal at the time, maybe might look at you and go, oh.
yeah.
But that story is so powerful for somebody who's looking for that tiny crack in the door, that bit of light to say, don't do it.
Yeah.
You can be like me. You can get through today, and there will be a tomorrow, and it will be better than yesterday.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Brilliant advice. Love it. Yeah.
I think one last thing is, if somebody was coming on one of your sessions, what would that look like for them? What can they expect on a Saturday morning or
one of our courses? Really well, they'd expect, and they've done it before. We taught them really right through the whole technique. They'd be guided every step of the way, and they'd be given a helping hand to join in, and they'd see that there's everyone from veterans to working on mums to, you know, my mum joins in now and again. You know, there's 16-year-olds, there's the Helens of the world, there's legends there, there's the NHS workers, police. It's for everyone. It's for, I mean, it really is. This is for everyone. So they'll be looked after, and we guide them through the breath work, and then we do programs as well that go on from that, and we can do live events, so they can check out our website.
But basically it's a 20-minute practice with a little bit of a meditation, a breath awareness meditation at the end. So it doesn't take very long.
No.
So they could do, and Sam and I lead the whole thing. Basically, you find a quiet spot, you give yourself 30 minutes, you breathe with us, and then we invite you, after you've done the breath work, to go and jump in a shower or a bath or a barrel or a river.
So I've only got a pond with koi carp in it. Is that
Then use your ponds with koi carp.
Yeah, get in your cold shower. That'll be, cold showers are hard work.
Helen, I'm sure you probably want a testament to the sessions at the end there. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, another thing I was really skeptical about was it being done online, you know, and I thought I'm really skeptical, and I was so wrong. The energy and the connection, and then Sam and Miranda always have a WhatsApp group if anybody wants to be on it. It's their choice, but to connect after each session, to give feedback of what it's brought up or whatever they want to share. And it's blowing me away. That part of it as well is connecting with people and sharing, their stories and their inner feelings, and very amazing. This is the first week when there wasn't a 10-day program going on, and honestly, I woke up on Monday morning determined to do it on my own, and I felt quite depressed. I must admit, there wasn't the connection with Sam and Miranda and the other people. I did it on my own and it worked. It still works. It's still amazing. But it's just magical. As you've seen, their personalities, they really work well together. And it's just fantastic. I really can't speak highly enough about it all. It's really has surprised me. It really has. Fantastic.
Thank you, Helen. You're in a daily inspiration. You absolutely are. So many young women. My daughters know Helen, and she, if you have more Helen Barnetts in the world, then the world will be a better place. That's what women should. Strong women, and strong women sitting there, and strong women sitting there. It's exactly. Yeah. So absolutely, yeah. So thank you to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And obviously, like Rob said, we could explore the story behind leading you to this place. But I think it's most important thing now is to get the story of the Breath Connection out there. I think people can see that you've come through the other side, and we just want people to find out more about it. So really, thanks for taking the time to speak to us today. And thanks for Helen to coming back and speaking as well so highly of you all. Obviously, if you want to get in touch with the Breath Connection, where can they get hold of you?
www.thebreathconnection.org, and the numbers are on there. Get in contact with us, email us, ring me up, whatever you want to do.
Instagram, just don't do anything too complicated for Sam.
Instagram or bootnet. Instagram, absolutely, breathconnection.org again, and Facebook.
And we do have a Twitter account, but
we don't know what that is. No.
Don't know how to work that one. Okay. Brilliant. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything else. If not, I want to wish everyone a really, really good day.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for having us. Really
nice to see you all.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you for listening to the Everybody Hurts podcast by Vitality. My name is Stephen Bell, and if you want to get in touch for mental health training, coaching, therapy, counselling or fitness training for children or adults, then you can contact us at www.vitality.co.uk, where we have a vast team of specialists. You can also find us on all social media platforms. Either call us or email us today. Thank you for listening.